Hi, and welcome to my happy place, the garden bench top. I'm Chris, and today I'm going to be showing you how I make my own succulent soil for snake plants. Now, the reason why I am making a fresh batch of soil today is because I brought home these beauties from the nursery. As you can see, there are quite a few pups coming up already, and it looks like he's almost outgrown his pot already, so I'm going to be putting that into a bigger home. And I've got this one as well. You can see another big pup coming up here, and this pot is quite small as well. Now, the reason why I like to repot my plants as soon as I bring them home is because it gives me an opportunity to look at their root system, make sure everything's healthy. And it also means that I understand the water absorption properties of each of the soil, because I'll be making up my own. And this means that I can regulate my water regime depending on the soil that I make up for these snake plants. Okay, let's get back to the topic at hand, the best soil for snake plants and the recipe that I use. Let's talk a bit about what we are looking for in the best soil for a snake plant. Generally speaking, when it comes to succulents, a loam soil is the most ideal. Loam soil has excellent drainage, which is essential for snake plants, as well as being light and airy. They usually include coarse sand and a porous material to create air pockets in the soil for oxygen to reach the roots. For snake plants, I like to make a few adjustments to the soil with some organic materials and worm castings to give it that natural boost in nutrients. Okay, let's turn our attention to the ingredients that you're going to be using in the recipe. We have a regular potting mix. Now, this one's actually a succulent potting mix that I picked up at the nursery. So you can see there's already a bit of coarse sand in there. But what I like about regular potting mix is it adds a mixture of nutrients to the soil. It's usually ready-made, and it's just got bits of everything, like slow releasing fertilizers and some water retaining materials in there. So good all-rounder. The next one is coarse sand. So why we need coarse sand is because it gives the soil really good at drainage, and that's essential for a snake plant because they tend to become overwatered. So we need all the excess water to drain out the bottom, and it helps it to prevent from becoming soggy and attracting unwanted pests like fungus gnats and root rot and things like that. The next one we're going to be using is worm castings. Now, this is from my own DIY worm farm. And look, if there's any opportunity I can add worm castings to the mix, I do, because it's just jam-packed full of organic compounds that any plant really needs to grow and thrive. You can also substitute this with some homemade decomposed compost, but I prefer worm castings. Now, the next one is perlite. Now, this one's the porous material that we're going to be adding to the soil mix. As you can see, this stuff it's almost like styrofoam, but basically this will add, again, another lightness and airiness to the soil, allowing the oxygen to get to the root system, and it helps it to prevent the soil from becoming compacted and soggy. Okay, so the next and last one is activated charcoal. Now, this one's a little bit strange, but I've actually personally seen our snake plants benefit greatly from the charcoal. It just helps to stabilize the other compounds in the soil, and it's actually a natural material that detoxifies the soil. So definitely something, it's optional, but I like to add it. Okay, so now let's get into the fun stuff and get ready to put the soil together. So basically what you're going to need is a measuring cup and a large container and a small trowel to help mix up the soil when you're putting it in. The measuring cup is kind of like a guide for measuring out the ratios. You can use anything. Essentially, it's basically known as a part. So that's what we're going to be using to measure out our soil. And it allows you to make as much or as little soil as you want, and you'll still get a great outcome. Okay, so we will be using 2 parts regular potting mix, 1 part worm castings, 2 parts perlite, 1 part sand, and half a part of the activated charcoal. And the process really is a simple one. All you need to do is measure out in the ratios that I've just read out and combine it in the large container. Now, I like to get my hands dirty and really combine the materials, but those of you who prefer to keep things neat and tidy are welcome to use a trowel. Okay, so let's get this mixture together. So here's the potting soil. In it goes. Get your perlite. In goes the sand, the worm castings, and our activated charcoal. Be careful with this stuff, it makes your fingers very dark and dirty. Okay, so I like to get my hands dirty and mix it with the hand. This gives me a good feel for the soil, see if it's the right consistency. But those of you who prefer to keep your hands clean, feel free to use a trowel and just give it a folding motion. Okay, just munch up those large clumps of worm castings. Okay, and there you go. We've made our batch of fresh soil mix for the snake plants. As you can see, the mixture is quite grainy, quite light and airy because of that perlite. Just a good all-round soil mixture.